Jim had come back into my life. He had come back before I moved to Long Beach. He went to Fresno State after he flunked out of Chico State because he was partying and drinking too much. I mean, I don't know what everyone else expected from someone who was known as the guy who drank the mug. The mug was a beer mug that could fit 3 beers in it, and he could gulp the entire contents of that beer mug in one gulp. I never saw that, but I did see him do a beer bong with 3 beers in it, and it went down in one swallow. It was amazing. Before I left to Long Beach, I used to go visit him in Chico. I would drive 4 hours each way to see him in the dorms on the weekends sometimes. This one time I went up there and I couldn't find him. I knocked on his door and there was no answer. I waited and waited all night in my car until I decided to just drive back to Prunedale. When I got back to Prunedale, my mom and stepdad were in the living room having an argument. They fought a lot the first 10 years of their marriage. Anyway, I came inside and my dad said something along the lines of Jim cheating on me. I couldn't for 1 second understand where he would come up with something like that. I turned to him and said, "You shouldn't talk about things you don't know about." He snapped back pretty hard and said, "Fuck off." I was shocked and devastated. I ran to my room crying and called Jim, and he answered the phone. He was there the entire time. So I had no problem whatsoever leaving Prunedale and moving to Long Beach. We had a long-distance relationship the entire time. Did I cheat on him? Yes. Did he cheat on me? Yes. Does it matter? No. He started begging me to marry him one time. I mean begging. One weekend he got all drunk, which was par for his course. He drunkenly begged me to marry him all weekend long. He's all, "I want you to be my wife." And he falls through the twin beds that we put together to sleep on. It was hilarious, but also very sad. Is that how I was going to be proposed to? I didn't say yes. It was a couple weeks later, and it was the LA riots. I hear from my friends that LA has gone mad, and they're rioting and looting the town and pulling people out of their cars and beating them up. What the... I was alone in Long Beach. Jim was in Fresno. I had to get to him. I needed to feel secure. So I proceeded on the longest trip in my life. Driving up and down the coast was not a new thing for me. If you include the bus rides when I was a kid to see my dad and the trips to Chico when Jim and I were first back together, when I taught myself the lyrics of the entire Run DMC cassette tape, I had probably been up and down the coast of California hundreds of times. Okay, dozens of times. But this time, a 3-hour trip turned into an 8-hour trip. It took me 4 hours just to clear the 405 freeway. It was an amazing sight. I couldn't believe my eyes. The entire city of Los Angeles was on fire, and I wasn't the only one running for safety. It was obvious that there were some very deep-rooted wounds being agitated, to say the least. My heart was breaking, and I didn't know why. I just felt the need to be near someone that I thought was my best friend. So I continued. I had to decide if I wanted to take the Interstate 5 and go over the Grapevine, or go up the 101. I don't know why I chose the way that I chose, but I ended up taking the 101 to Ventura and taking the 33 up to Ojai and over a mountain that I didn't see on the map. Topa Topa Mountain, elevation 6,716 feet. It was so scary. I got to the top at nightfall and it started snowing. Oh my gosh, I was stupid. I'm pretty sure I wasn't insured because my real dad had never actually got me the AAA. He just always talked about how he was thinking of getting it for me. I guess in his mind, he thought that thinking about doing something was equivalent to doing it and that that would suffice. Luckily, nothing bad happened, and I made it over the mountain and back down the Interstate 5 to continue up to Fresno. Of course, I was listening to music all the time. Mostly K-rock. They played the music of the times. Grunge was the in thing. I fit in pretty well with it considering I had bought most of my clothes at secondhand stores already most of my life. Nirvana, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Collective Soul. But when you got out of LA County and up into Bakersfield, there wasn't a lot of options on the radio. So it usually ended up being a classics radio station called Pirate Radio, which was totally cool with me. Eagles, Hotel California, Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven, a classic that was the closing song at all the church dances growing up, which I found out was very ironic considering the song was about a drug addict. Then there was Queen, Elton John's Tiny Dancer. This trip, the song that got me was Desperado by the Eagles. It actually had me thinking I was a desperate 22-year-old that should just marry Jim because, as my mom would tell me, you don't even deserve him. And you might as well marry him. You won't find anyone better. So when I finally arrived at Jim's apartment in Fresno, I accepted his marriage proposal. It was during these years at CSULB that I took a couple of master classes. These are extra classes taught by instructors who were masters in their field but weren't employed by the university as full-time professors. There was a couple of choreography master classes, one of them taught by Risa Steinberg of the Limon Dance Company. Jose Limon was a pioneer of modern dance. His style and technique of drop, release, and rebound, and Risa became my technique and teacher of choice. She ended up doing a guest professor spot at CSULB where she recreated Psalm, one of Jose Limon's signature pieces, and I made the audition to perform in this recreation. It was the most amazing experience. We, as a group of 12 dancers, performed this piece several times in several different concerts, including being chosen to close the gala at the American College Dance Festival in Denton, Texas. I remember our turn to perform the piece for the adjudicators wasn't until 11 p.m. at night. We had already waited all day for our turn. We were worried we wouldn't perform well, so one of the dancers suggested we try applying this catnip to our upper lip. We all looked at each other and as a group decided to do it. So right before we left the dressing room to go to our beginning positions on stage to start our piece, we all applied catnip to our upper lip. It was a very memorable run of this piece. Every one of us made a mistake in one way or another, but we apparently made these mistakes with passion because the adjudicators chose us to close the gala. The other master classes I took in college were Feldenkrais and Pilates. These master classes were meant to help us, as one of the things we were taught as dance majors was that you probably won't make any money at it. The dancers that make money are the show dancers, and in order to be a show dancer make money, you have to get picked in an audition. So the first thing the university dance department taught us was, as dance majors, was how to get picked in an audition. The one and only rule in how to get picked in an audition is be able to replicate the movement, i.e. choreography, head to toe, fingertip to fingertip, after seeing it only one time. Choreographers can't watch you dance if you can't pick up their choreography immediately. Modern dancers don't make any money, really. Even prima ballerinas don't make money as dancers. Their money would be more from extra deals like movies or books, but there are these things that one can do that is complementary to dancing that is more legitimate financial career choice. Unless, of course, you continue your education and get a master's degree, and then you can teach in a university. So I took these master classes and I fell in love with both techniques in one class. I was more interested in how the body works than I realized. Since the teacher of the Pilates class just moved to Orange County and opened his first Pilates studio in Newport Beach, I was close enough to take more Pilates sessions with him at his studio. When he asked me if I wanted to join his second ever Pilates certification course, I was there before you could say, "Take a deep breath in."